Dems are gathering in Bournemouth this weekend for what many regard as the starting gun for the next general election.
Over the next 3 weeks, all the parties will be pitching for support at a time of public disenchantment following the row over MPs' expenses. Here's our political correspondent, Andrew Sinclair.
Susie, I often stand here and show you the political map of the region. Tonight I thought we'd go back 100 years and show you what things were like after the 1906 general election. Look at that. Didn't the Liberal Party do well? They held just about every seat in our region. The Tories just had Great Yarmouth, Bury St Edmunds and Chelmsford. Labour had Northamptonshire North. The Tories also had Cambridge University for some reason or other. It was the last time the party was ever this strong in the region. Look at how things are now. They've got just 3 seats. That is more than they had 12 years ago. But will they ever do any better?
Well, I would urge you to keep looking at what the Liberal Democrats are doing, because both locally and nationally I do think...
It's sometimes rather cruelly said that to be a Liberal Democrat you need to be an eternal optimist. And in Northampton the other day there was no shortage of party volunteers as they started work drumming up support for the forthcoming general election.
You can see here we've got several sheets worth of supporters. We've got more written down on our call sheets as well, so we're getting quite a good number of supporters here, so we feel good about it.
The party certainly has a spring in its step at the moment. It was least tarnished by the expenses scandal, and in the local elections it benefited from the collapse in Labour support. Indeed, the MP for Cambridge is making this confident prediction.
It is entirely possible that we'll make one of the biggest breakthroughs in our history, which is to say that we'll be on a par with the Labour Party, even ahead of the Labour Party in the popular vote.
We shall see, but there's another reason for taking a close interest in the Lib Dems at the moment. The Conservatives are doing very well in the polls, but not consistently well enough yet to be sure of an overall majority.
The hung parliament is a real possibility. If that happens, it puts the Lib Dems in the driving seat, because they can decide whether or not to support a emergent Conservative government, and they can ask for concessions, policy initiatives and so on in order to do that.
Which is why in Bournemouth the party will be talking a lot about serious policies this year. The economy, Afghanistan, the health service, things like that. Susie mentioned the anger over MPs' expenses. Research by Essex University suggests that 91% of people at the moment say the scandal has made them very angry, and 59% says it proves that MPs are corrupt. The parties have a lot to do during conference season to reconnect with the public. Susie.
Andrew, thank you very much. And we will, of course, bring you full coverage of the party conferences over the next 3 weeks. After the Lib Dems this weekend, it's Labour next at Brighton, then the Conservatives at Manchester.
Our coverage continues this Sunday when our sister programme, The Politics Show, broadcasts live from the Lib Dems conference in Bournemouth. Andrew will be there. That's at 1:35 here on BBC One. Football, and for 2 of our championship teams, there's one important goal this weekend, their first wins of the season.
Ipswich head to Doncaster, while Peterborough are at home to Reading. But would either club consider getting a little extra help? Tom Williams has been finding out.
Are you or the players just feeling the pressure?
No. What pressure?
Right then, right footed, and no chance for Joe Lewis.
Hard to get your head around, a start neither side could have expected. Both winless, Ipswich under new management, different players, fresh hope, same disappointment. So what's the problem? Is it mental?
I'm very open-minded. I've done it myself as a player, and I've worked with sports psychologists when I was at Sunderland. I think there was somebody here last year before I took the job. It's up to the players. Everybody's different. I know other players would run a mile from speaking to a sports psychologist, so it's up to the individual.
Whilst Ipswich hope to go up, Peterborough just want to stay up. They've adjusted to life in the Championship, playing well but with little reward. So, do they believe?
I'm probably a psychologist at the club. I know my players well. I know when to have a go at them, when to put an arm around them, and as long as they keep giving me everything as that they always have done, I'll make sure I look after them.
Fergie's got it sussed, but how important is the role of the mind in a game of football? Sports psychologists would say very, and a little advice can go a long way.
If I were a Peterborough or an Ipswich player, what sort of thing could you tell me?
The one I do like to use, and it's very easy to learn, is a thing called anchoring. It involves going back to past successes. Remember that day, really build it up, turn the picture up a bit, turn the volume up, really feel the ground beneath you, feel the breeze against your cheek. And when you build that emotion up to a really powerful experience, just squeeze your finger and thumb together for about 5 seconds. And then when you get to the next match on Saturday, just before the kick-off, just squeeze that finger and thumb together and pow, all those positive feelings will come back.
A tip from the expert: could it help either club secure that elusive first win? Tom Williams, BBC Look East.
Elsewhere, tomorrow Southend travel to Brighton, Colchester United are at home to Hartlepool, Norwich take on Charlton and MK Dons are at Wycombe. In League 2, Northampton Town play Rochdale. In Rugby Union's Guinness Premiership, Northampton Saints are at Gloucester. Live coverage of all those games will be on your local BBC radio station. You can see all the goals on BBC One after Match of the Day tomorrow night.
Well, all this week we've shown how you can make guitars, lawn turf, a sports car and sea salt. Typical week on Look East. Tonight, something I'm in the mood for right now, and I wish this was it, but sadly it's just water.
He's talking about the perfect pint of beer. And Mike Liggins said he wouldn't mind going to a beer festival to explain all. Mike.
Tough job, but somebody's got to do it, Susie. I'm at Grange Barn at Coggeshall in Essex, a beautiful National Trust property. It's their very first beer festival. All the ales are from Essex, but for the last in our series, Made in the East, we've been to a microbrewery in Suffolk.
I'm Tim Dunford, head brewer from the Green Jack Brewery in Lowestoft. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how beer is made. Being in control of your beer from start to finish is the be-all and end-all, you know. We start off with barley, hops, water and yeast. It's as simple as that. Those ingredients will make you any style of beer you like. So have a look at some of the crop this year, Roger. Nice fat plump grains. Barley's harvested once a year. It will go from the farm to the maltings, then it's dried and sent out to brewers.
We started planting hops here about 5 years ago, actually.
The second most important ingredient, hops. That's the resin we're in the hop flowers, which we're after to flavour our beer. This is our mash tun, where we steep our grain in water to extract the sugar out of the grain. The more water we run through the grain, the weaker our beer is going to be. We pump the liquid through into the copper here, where we bring it to the boil to sterilise all our beer, break down the proteins from the grain, and then just before the end of the boil, we add a huge charge of hops to give it aroma and taste in our beer. Once we've finished boiling our beer, we flash cool it and pump it through to a fermenting vessel like this one here. We pitch the yeast, and the yeast goes to work on the sugar to make alcohol. This tank here is fermenting away nicely. After 2 to 3 days fermenting, we cool the beer down, transfer it into a settling tank, and then the next day it's put into barrels and sent out to pubs for you good people to drink. One can never get bored with beer. There's always something to get you going. Absolutely love it. It's my whole life. It's dedicated to beer and brewing.
A few names. This is Puck's Folly. This is Azza Skunk. And this is Wily Old Fox. And the way I've remembered them is by sticking a little piece of paper on the back of each of them. And all the beers are from Essex. And this man is a former Supreme Champion brewer.
Yes,
Russ,
sir.
why are microbreweries doing so well?
Quality, basically. We're all producing good quality beer. People want to buy good quality beer.
And it's a labour of love for you.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no serious money in it. As a brewer, we'll say we will not make our fortunes doing it, but we really love what we're doing as a microbrewers.
And you're off to play in a band, and you've only had 2 pints.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you should be able to play a few chords tonight, then, hey?
Yes.
All right. And just to say that the festival is on tomorrow And Sunday, I think.
And Sunday, the entry is free.
Entry is free, but then you've got to buy as much beer as you can possibly take.
£2 a pint.
£2 a pint.
£2.50 a pint, sorry.
OK, thank you. Back to you.
You wouldn't want to say some of those beer names.